Welcome to USA Global TV and Radio, where our mission is to provide education, entertainment, hope, and inspiration. USA Global TV and Radio connects you with experts and audiences all around the world every single day to help you succeed in business and to live a richer life. Visit us at usaglobaltv.com to learn about career and life-changing training and mentoring programs like the Listening Mentor. Subscribe to our newsletter to stay informed about our special programs and offers. Discover how you can become a guest on one of our shows or a host or producer of a USA Global TV and Radio show of your very own. That's USA Global TV and Radio, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, all y'all. red.olaughlin here today, Talking Heads, USA Global TV and Radio Network. And today is number 7. It was originally planned for just 6 part, but number 7 of 7 on weight management. So let's get right straight into the slides as fast as we can here. Let's get this thing going. So today, I am not a medical doctor, never have been, never been in the pharmaceutical industry. However, I have a love of chemistry. Always have since the first class I took, sophomore year in high school. I researched the body at the cellular level, looking for cause and effect relationships. Treat a cause, fix a problem. Treat symptoms, and you'll always be treating symptoms. In the area of weight management, everything is so individual that you say, well, most cases, it works for that person, doesn't work for me. And when you start trying to do some research on your own, you find out that literally confusion reigns everywhere. There doesn't seem to be any logical way as to why I can't lose weight. Well, at the beginning of this program 6 weeks ago, I decided to, here's my personal record for the past, literally, it's accumulative over time. I have a set of scales I spent about $20 on that measures all sorts of different things in the body. It's got a couple metallic things on both sides. You put your bare feet on there and it goes to your cell phone. And anyway, so this past week, I'm down 1.3 pounds. I'm still in the orange range, but overall in 6 weeks, I've lost 9 pounds, and I wasn't doing any extra exercise. I wasn't doing any specific dieting other than awareness to what I was eating. I typically don't eat a lot of carbs, but with things going on, 55th wedding anniversary, this, that, and whatever, a lot of things just kind of happened. And so you kind of balloon out of control for a while and you kind of come back down to reality. Anyway, regardless. So I'm down this week, not quite 1.5 pounds. Still in an area to be concerned about, orange. Body fat down again, same as last week, again in the orange area, something I'm working on. BMI changed last week to orange. I'm down another 0.2 on that one. Now, the stuff that's good for me, muscle rate, muscle mass, skeletal, that's all good. What's really excellent is bone mass, my protein, and my basal metabolic rate. Some areas that are particularly concerned to me is body age. My scale tells me I'm 2 years older than what I really am in real life. And my visceral fat is in the orange range, something that's serious for me. The red is what they consider the really super serious issues. But to me, the visceral fat, when you look at your health, is more important. But the subcutaneous fat and body fat, I'm still working on. And I'm not that far, actually, when you look at going from red to orange on both of those, or orange to green on the 2 above. So those are actually improving. So getting right along here. Okay. So we've been talking this whole time about the basic equation that everybody uses for weight loss. Calories in equals calories out. Well, I think we refuted that enough times that all calories are not equal. If I'm eating 500 calories of fat, 500 calories of beef, 500 calories of lettuce, they're not all the same. There's a glycemic index that causes our body to respond differently with regard to blood sugar, insulin, and other things. Exercise is not equal. Now, if I just go out and I walk 300 calories off versus go to the gym and I lift weights for 300 calories, that weightlifting is going to last me overnight because my body's got to repair itself. So I'm actually expending more calories in my sleep than I normally would if I was just out walking. So not all exercise is the same. The basic equation doesn't account for metabolism. Even though metabolism is fairly constant throughout our adult lifehood, it doesn't account for the fact that things can change our metabolism. It doesn't account for hormones, which if you become imbalanced on your nutrients coming in the door in your foods, hormones are going to become imbalanced and they may make it almost impossible for you to lose weight. Medicine's also not accounted for. There's a lot of medicines out there that actually inhibit your ability to lose weight. Sleep, genes, and more things impact the ability to lose weight. So there's a lot of confusion. Somebody says lose 60. You're at the grocery store, you're checking out, and you're looking at one of the tabloids, and it says lose 30 pounds in 30 days, lose 6 pounds in the next 6 weeks. But it doesn't matter. What works for some does not work for all, and that's part of the confusion because chemically we're not the same. Somebody may have out of whack thyroid, somebody else may have be stressed out. Just too many things are different. And chemically, when we have more cortisol from stress or we have other issues from vitamin deficiencies, we end up having problems. But the basic equation says we eat food, our blood sugar rises. As a result, insulin rises. And when insulin rises in the body, it's in our bloodstream, you can't burn fat. That's a chemical process that can't happen. So my eating frequency, how often I eat, you hear some of these gurus say, eat 4 or 5 or 6 small meals a day. Well, that keeps you away from the hunger end of things, but it keeps your insulin levels continually raised that even if you're eating less calories, you can't burn the fat. So we have to look at what really and truly works. And we're going to be coming about toward the end of the show today. We're actually going to be talking about the things that do work. The basic equation assumes a nutrient balance. It's not there, but it assumes it. And then even if you have a good nutrient balance, we're not talking about the insulin sensitivities with leptin, with insulin, with gluten, with a half a dozen other things that just can create problems. Hormones are chemical messengers. They control our growth, our development, our metabolism. They basically talk to various parts of our body. And we have a lot of hormones, not just one or two, but a lot of hormones that actually control our appetite. Sometimes when we think we're hungry, the hormone that's saying, hey, it's time to eat, ghrelin maybe, for instance, it may not be ghrelin talking to our brains. It may just be we're dehydrated, especially in the morning, first thing when you get up. Lifestyle issues, our stress management, our exercise, toxins, all sorts of things. All those things affect weight management. And as we went through, when we have this hormone at non-optimal levels, how do you fix it? You change your lifestyle. You get exercise, you get sleep, you reduce toxins, all the things that are making a lifestyle healthy choices for you are going to balance out everything in the end. Anytime we're stressed, and a lot of people say, I'm not stressed, unless you have some superhuman quality that most people don't. Everybody is affected by stress. Stress washes through some people. Other people reach out, grab hold of it, let it go. But stress causes cortisol. Cortisol loves to store fat, primarily around the body. There's 4 times more stress cortisol fat receptors in the gut around your belly than anywhere else in the body. Stress is a major factor. It's something that needs to be done every single day, almost hourly. If you're not getting decent sleep, good quality sleep, that's going to affect the processes. So lots of things there. Let's just talk about fat. Let's say that I'm an extra 30, 40, 50 pounds overweight. Fat becomes a hormone. Fat becomes an organ, literally an organ. It creates its own hormones. It creates all sorts of problems, especially if you're obese. Then the fat becomes non-fatty liver disease, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. So you're having a lot of problems in the liver, creates a lot of problems with diabetes, a lot of problems with the heart. So excess fat is a major, major problem. Now we have 2 different kinds of fat, white and brown. Brown fat is when we are shivering and we put our arms around our shoulders, our backbone area right between our shoulder blades, the areas under our armpits, across our chest in the front is where brown fat is. It's a very narrow strip of fat. And it's actually a pretty good fat to have because brown fat causes white fat to burn faster than just about anything else out there. It's almost like a blowtorch. You sit there and you crank up that brown fat to burn and you're actually burning white fat much faster than you're burning the brown. And there are things we talked about over the last couple of weeks about what can you do to burn brown fat faster, and we talked about those. But when we think of fat, we kind of push a finger under in our gut. We look at what's hanging from our arms. We look at what's hanging from our neck. That's our adipose fat. That's the fat that we see, we can poke, we can feel. It's that puffy stuff. However, yeah, as bad as that is, it's not as bad as visceral fat. Can't see visceral fat. You can have a thin person with a lot of visceral fat because that visceral fat is literally right around your heart, your gallbladder, your liver, your lungs. Everything that's inside the body is susceptible to having that visceral fat. So if you want to do a major health improvement, concentrate on visceral fat. And there's a lot of things that you can do, and we've talked about them. We've said that metabolism is pretty constant. It's from 20 to 60, it doesn't change. Before that, there's a change, and after 60, there's a change. But nothing that really and truly is a major thing. But the metabolism is influenced by our muscle to fat ratio. If I have more muscle than fat, I'm going to be burning more fat every time I do anything. Hormones affect metabolism, our level of exercise, our level of fitness, our age, gender, all those things, our weight, all those things affect metabolism. And metabolism, when you're normally eating, it stores fat. When you're done eating and you get rid of the insulin in your system, it burns fat. So it is the controller, and there are many things that affect the controller or control the controller. Toxins, a big one. If you're not reading labels on your foods, personal care products primarily, a lot of toxins can get in the body, and they affect our health, but they also affect our ability to lose weight. We talk about fats. Essential fatty acids, the word essential means we can't make them. We have to have them from another source, our food. Omega-6 are primarily your vegetable oils, your omega-3 are your fish oils, and primarily you have omega-9, which is your olive oil, but it's not really a factor in our health per se. But when your omega-6 and your omega-3 ratio is 1-to-1, that's the most ideal situation you can have. That is really a good one. When it becomes 4-to-1, okay, acceptable, but it starts getting beyond 4-to-1. Now you end up in another realm of health, which your body starts becoming inflamed. Now you end up with inflammation at the cellular level. And if it becomes chronic, now you're opening yourself to disease, because literally 95% of all disease starts as chronic low-level cellular inflammation. You look at the standard American diet, 30-to-1, 40-to-1 or greater. So cut back, way back on the omega-6s, increase your omega-3s. That's definitely going to help. Trans fats and ultra-processed foods. We talked about that a while back, not long ago, that circa 1976, when the food industry decided that they were going to go with the ultra-processed foods. That's what you see nowadays in the center of any grocery store. Those are your packaged foods. They have the additives, the coloring, the preservatives, everything that you don't want is in those foods. That started the obesity problem in the United States. Prior to 1976, it was there, but it wasn't an issue. But after 1976, it became an issue, and it's been really, if you look at the root cause, more than anything else, it's the ultra-processed foods. So if most of your foods come out of a package, might be something to think about. When you start gaining weight, fat around your belly, whatever, it's going to affect your metabolism. So whatever you're eating and you're 10 pounds heavier than you were a month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, your metabolism isn't working to the same level of efficiency. You may not have changed anything in your diet or exercise, but the mere fact that you've added extra fat means you're not burning fat as quickly. So reading labels doesn't mean you're going to lose weight, but reading labels improves your ability to lose weight. And I will tell you right now, do not trust the labels on the front of the package. It's going to be there as a marketing ploy. Whatever it says on the front, turn the package over and actually read the label. That's more important than what it says on the front. Know the benefits of what you're getting. And if you're on a particular diet, South Beach, keto, whatever, just go to Google and find out what are the benefits, what are the health detriments. Know in and out what your restrictions are. This morning we talked about Weight Watchers. Last week we talked about the Mediterranean diet. There are things that are very, very good in many diets, but there are things that are open holes that, yeah, you can work around, but you need to know about it first before you start any workarounds. So now we're at that point where what can we do? So we're going to get, I have maybe some health issues, some cardiovascular, some diabetes. Doesn't matter what it is. Health issues, if you're not healthy, it's going to affect your ability to lose weight. You're not going to feel like exercising. You're going to probably make less intelligent choices on the food you're having. You're going to want more comfort with regard to sitting on the couch, whatever it may happen to be. So health issues affect us. But if you happen to have thyroid or polycystic ovary syndrome, PCOS, if you're menopause, if you're depressed, if you have Cushing's syndrome, there are a lot of health issues that create problems with losing weight. In fact, in some cases, you may not be able to lose weight at all because it doesn't allow the body to operate normally. But what I've seen primarily from a lot of people is it's our mindset. And we're going to talk more about that here in just a minute. But our subconscious mind can help you or can hinder you. But regardless, what actually does help? And that's the whole purpose of today. So we spent the first half of the show kind of recapping things. Let's get into what really helps. Okay. We know the caloric restriction, cutting back a little bit. But we also know that if we cut back on our calories, we lose a little bit of something. Our metabolism cuts back a little bit. So it's like a no gain. I've zero-sum game. Nothing happens because just restricting calories. But it's important. We don't need as many calories as nutritionists say. They say 15 calories per pound to maintain weight. Consider 10 calories per pound is more optimum. How's the easiest way to do that? Just change from your dinner plate to a salad plate. Fill it up one time. Thank you very much. Don't go back. But portion control is important because it's going to train you to have so much. I'm going to talk a little bit about the ability of the body when we're eating. It's going to send a signal saying, I'm sated. I don't need any more. And that happens. But if you don't recognize it, you just keep eating. The other day I was with my wife and I said, that's it. I just had the signal. And then the next meal I had, I didn't get the signal. So I just picked the plate up, put some saran wrap over, put it in the refrigerator for later. But fasting, the next topic, works because you're allowing a period of time for your insulin levels to decrease. And when they decrease, now your metabolism can start burning fat. So the fasting, whether it's intermittent, 15, 16, 18 hours, or whatever, any kind of fast beyond the level to get the insulin out of the body helps you. A major help is reducing or eliminating carbohydrates because that causes a increase in blood sugar, increase in insulin, increase in any fats that are going to be stored because you didn't burn them up. And we talk about healthy fats. We talk about our lifestyle choices. But when it comes down to it, yeah, blah, 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 yada, yada, yada. We know that, but it doesn't work. Why? For whatever reason, those things don't work. They should work. They work for some people, but why don't they work for everyone? And we sort of know the answer, but we don't necessarily really know. So let's get in with some of the areas that maybe you're not so familiar with. Let's talk about the subconscious mind, that part of our brain that controls 95% of everything we do in our life. The prime directive of the subconscious mind is to protect you. You put your hand on a hot stove, that's a major event in your life. You don't do that again, or you don't do it very many times. It's there to protect you from doing something wrong. It stores everything 24/7. It's accessible. The more emotional trauma you had with an event in your life, that's going to be stored right here in the front. You catch it easily. And that's what we want to do when we want to fool our subconscious mind. We want to be able to attach some emotion to it. So when we start looking at those things, I have a system that's in my brain that's saying, I'm not going to let you fail. Remember all those diets you've been on in the past? You failed. I'm not going to let you humiliate yourself again, because that's not what I do. It's going to say, you did that before. It doesn't work. And it's going to sabotage you. Your mind does not want you to fail. But in the same aspect that your subconscious mind doesn't want you to fail, it has limitations. So the subconscious mind doesn't know future tense. It doesn't know negative. It doesn't know real from imagined. And this is where we can institute a major coup in our life, because now all those diets that I've had over the years that I've lost weight, didn't lose weight, were considered failures. What if I started thinking to myself, I just started a South Beast diet. I lost all you visualize the actual weight loss. The brain doesn't know you actually lost it, but you can actually visualize what you look like as a result of that particular diet. So you can change a lot of things, but you have to add an emotion to it. Otherwise, it's just something back in the back, and you may take 1,000 or 2,000 of those memories to equal the same thing when you attach a lot of emotion to it. Now, when I'm talking about the subconscious mind, I use one particular example as how do you attach emotion to something? For those of us who used to ride bicycles as kids, think about riding your bicycle. If you were in my family, you weren't allowed to go outside without shoes on. But I've seen other people, and just think about this for a second. You're riding your bicycle barefoot. You're on concrete, on sidewalk, and all of a sudden your foot slips off, and now your toes go straight down into the concrete. I mean, that still gives me the shivers. That emotion, however you attach an emotion to a particular event, that's what's going to store here, and it's going to be most prevalent in changing something in your life that needs to be changed. So if we start looking at what can we do about changing our mindset, then that's going to help us with that mental component of losing weight. Again, it only lives in the present. It goes to the past because that's everything stored in your brain. Has no concept of the future. So if you say, I will do this, it's just saying, I'm going to do this. It doesn't understand. It's whatever. If I will not have pie for dessert, it doesn't understand the negative. It says, I will have pie for dessert. So you have to view things differently. If I'm looking at a goal setting and my whole interest was stepping on the scale and my weight, well, maybe you change your goal to, I want to lose 2 inches of fat around my gut. Well, if you've never done that before, your subconscious mind can't sabotage you. Maybe I just want to eat healthy. I want to eat more greens. Oh, never done that before. It's not going to help, not going to stop you from doing it. So you have to look at changing the way you think about the end result. If I eat healthy, I'm going to lose weight. If I think about losing inches instead of pounds, maybe I'll be more successful. And the thing is, I may be able to measure. I may be able to lose 2 inches around my thigh, but not show on the scale. I may gain 5 pounds on the scale and actually have lost 3 inches in my gut because it's more muscle. So just because you're gaining in some areas doesn't mean you're losing. I say recommend once a week for weighing. Get a better set of scales so you really know what's going on in your body. If you have visceral fat issues, you have other issues, track that. That's a more important factor. And if you have somebody that can help you on that, family member, whatever, friend, accountability helps so much, particularly when you're talking about your subconscious mind. One of those things we talked about a couple times, I said, yeah, we're going to talk about it. Menopause, a lot of issues happen there hormonally. Through the normal part of your life, the cycle is there, and we're going to talk about it in the next slide or two. When menstruation stops, you have a problem with hormones, and the balance there becomes a major issue. Now, everyone's a little bit different. Some are going to have the same signs as other symptoms, whatever you want to call it. But one of the things that seems to be predominant is that you start gaining weight. On that perimenopause, just at the very end of your normal cycle, you end up with that transition into menopause. That weight gain starts to appear. It might be a couple pounds, but in most of the time, it's belly. And as it starts out, it's about 5%. And we start changing our lifestyle a little bit to accommodate that. So now we're adding extra dimensions. And the standard advice that the doctor gives you is exercise more, because that's, obviously calories in equals calories out. If I exercise more, I'm going to lose. No, doesn't work. The basic equation for losing doesn't work, particularly with menopause. Let's continue on here. I happen to have a book I bought a while back because I saw her on YouTube, and I'm going to show you a better copy of the book, but Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Peltz. If you have access to YouTube, super good person to have with regard to menopause and weight loss. Her book, Fast Like a Girl, plus the many videos are out there. She explains what she is doing now. She started out by talking, I have this client, 300 pounds. And I said, all I want that person to do is only eat in a 6-hour window. I don't care what you eat the same thing. Just all she did was put them onto intermittent fasting. So the people ate the exact same amount of foods, but only in a window. What happened? They lost weight. And then she changed it to say, okay, you can have your Cokes at home. When you go out, Diet Coke or water or tea and sweet. And so she gradually, incrementally changed people's habits. But by extending the period of time in between eating, even if it was the same amount of calories, there was more time to burn fat because insulin wasn't present. And she uses this term metabolic switching. And that means your fuel source when you're eating anything with a carbohydrate gives you the blood sugar, which means the insulin response. Now you're using glucose as a fuel source. You get into the fasting end of things, all of a sudden you're switching now to ketones. You're eating, your body fat is what's actually providing you your energy. So if she incorporates intermittent fasting and she does this on a regular basis, what your body is doing is going through what's called hormetic stress. You rise and low, rise and low. And it's kind of like interval training. Real hard, back off. Real hard, back off. And you're working your body at the cellular level, in the mitochondria in your cell. Now that continual stress up and down encourages a stronger metabolism starting at the mitochondrial level. A super good way of looking at things. Now, we talked about metabolic disease as more of a frontier, particularly talking about cancer a month or two back. I brought in Dr. Thomas Seyfried as an example. He views cancer as a metabolic disease, not a genetic disease. If you're treating type 4 pancreatic cancer as a genetic disease, 5-year success rate is about 5%. But if you're treating it as a metabolic disease, it's about a 96% survival rate. Why do we not use the metabolic rate? Well, we talked about that in our cancer program. It's a standard of care. Yeah, you can get that metabolic treatment in the United States, but there's some issues there with the chemo that has to be used. But places like Cairo and Istanbul, huge success rate on those things. But what they're doing is they're healing the mitochondria, which heals your body, not addressing the genetic changes in your DNA. And when you start going into fasting, now you're opening the door for autophagy, which means the trash trucks, the recyclers, the overhaul the cells that go through your bloodstream, starting at about 18 hours, and they clean up your cells. They get rid of all that extra junk and crap in there that is disrupting your mitochondria from doing your job. And then at about 72 hours, that's when autophagy goes from 1% to 100%. You're cleaning up your system left and right. I do a 72-hour fast every month, usually more than that. And that's part of the reason that autophagy can take place, rebuild your immune system from scratch. So many good things about that. But just like any other kind of rise and fall, when you're eating, mTOR takes over, and that's the growth potential in the body. That's how we get to where we are today. So you need a nice balance between the autophagy and mTOR. Hormones are going to change on a monthly basis. We know about that. But if you know what's changing and when it's changing, you're in a much better position to be able to fight fairly against something that seems to be unfair your entire life. So in menopause, we have different hormones that are predominant. Days 1 to 10, insulin and estrogen. They dominate over anything else in the body. 11 to 15, okay, the insulin drops off a little bit. Now you're into your basic sex hormones, reproductive hormones, estrogen and testosterone. After 15 days, about halfway through, you start picking up the insulin and estrogen again. Not quite as long, about half that amount of time. But then the last 10 or so days of your cycle, all of a sudden, insulin, estrogen, and testosterone are no longer part of the package. Cortisol and progesterone are the primary dominant hormones, and they require different treatment than what you had earlier. So if you're treating the things that work against insulin and estrogen properly, you can expect a different result than if you're using the exact same thing to treat cortisol and progesterone. So if you understand where you are, what needs to happen, now you can take the actions that are needed at the right times in order to make that issue dealing with menopause a more effective tool in your quiver, more effective arrow in your quiver to tackle those things. So I strongly recommend her book, which is this one right here, Fast Like a Girl by Dr. Mindy Peltz. Very, very good book. I can't recommend it enough. Let's talk about a couple other changes here just real quickly before we get off this topic today. I went through process because it was offered free from our company on hypnosis as weight loss. Wasn't but 10 or 15, 20 pounds overweight, but I said, yeah, I've never been hypnotized. Let me try it. And even though I didn't think I was hypnotized, when they said come out of the trance, I could almost barely wake up. But habits are hard to break. But if you get in using hypnosis, you can actually change your relationship to food, to exercise, to fitness, whatever it may happen to be. And sometimes we have fears that surround certain things we do. And to change, it's very difficult to do it by ourselves. But with hypnosis, those changes become easier. I have a friend here in Houston who specializes in PTSD through hypnosis, and he's very, very successful in being able to change the fears that have happened in our lives, the traumas, and being able to, over time, work your way away from that fear. So if we have some fears that are interacting within our weight loss because I have a certain relationship to food or a certain relationship to exercise, I can conquer it with hypnosis. But it focuses on those things that are deep inside our bodies, inside our subconscious mind, and they allow a behavior to be modified. It's not a magic bullet, but it may be a bullet that you're unaware of, and it's really worth considering. I love pranayamas. These are breathing exercises. They reduce stress, reduce cortisol. They improve our metabolism. Just Google weight loss breathing techniques. I did it the other day, and I came up box or square breathing, deep breathing, alternate nostril breathing, depending which you breathe in or out. Belly or diaphragm breathing, Sonobi breathing. This is Japanese lifestyle where you're doing stretching and whatever. Lots and lots and lots and lots of videos with regard to breathing exercises and your ability to facilitate or assist with your weight loss. One that I love is emotional freedom techniques. I've read some stories of people being able to lose 100 pounds doing nothing but emotional freedom techniques, EFT. I like a guy named Brad Yates on YouTube. I think he does it very well, but pull up YouTube, put in EFT, weight loss, and Brad Yates if you want. But just follow the yellow brick road. We're going to go through the entire process of you saying something and doing something, and it goes through there, and it changes. Literally, I find it takes me about 8 minutes minimum for me to incorporate some kind of change into whatever I'm doing. I used to travel back and forth across many, many time zones, 8 or 10 or 12, and it would adjust my time zones very, very nicely. But it changes our energy. It changes the way we think. It kind of realigns everything. It doesn't cost you anything except your time. So give it some time. It's one of those extra things. You know what you need to do, cut back a little bit on your carbs, increase your exercise a little bit. We're not talking about much, but if you understand what's stopping that weight loss, that extra fat inch or two around the belly, try something different that you haven't tried before because it might work. And my last slide for today. I'm a speaker, author, publisher. No Matter What You Can Do It is a book that I wrote that talks about the subconscious mind. There are things in there you can do to sabotage your life. There are things you can do to help. But if you don't understand what's going on, it makes it difficult because it's an adversary that you don't even know is sabotaging you. The Joy of Ageless Health is a book I write about the causes of aging, causes of disease, your stress, your toxins, your radiation, inflammation, infection, diet, etc. Those are things, and if you know at the cellular level what's happening, you can counter literally every single one of them by one shape or form. Longevity Secrets for Healthy Aging talks about the two primary causes of aging, your human growth hormone and your telomere length, and what you can do to accelerate or decelerate the aging process. I've written over 40 articles on Alzheimer's over the last several years, and I put them all together into one book as a compilation. So Understanding the Causes of Alzheimer's Disease is a compilation of many articles I've written that gives you insight as to what is a cause of Alzheimer's and what you can do about it, especially if you don't have it, but it runs in the family. Lots and lots and lots of things you can do. And the Essential New Author's Guide is basically how to write and publish your book for free. There's nothing in there that says you have to spend money, big time money, to write and publish your book. There are a lot of things that can be done. May not be there for everyone, but for a lot of nonfiction books, probably a good way of going. So with that, again, red.olaughlin. I'm the Chief Researcher at MRO Global LLC. And next week we'll be on Talking Heads again. I have no idea what the topic's going to be. That's going to come to me sometime this week, and I'll start that program. But again, I'm saying goodbye from Talking Heads on the USA Global TV and Radio Network. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Bye.